κυρία Konstantopoulou συναντήθηκε και με την Καταρίνα Μάρτινς, συντονίστρια του πορτογαλικού Bloco της αριστεράς και στελέχη του κόμματος, ενώ αντάλλαξε απόψεις με τον ιδρυτή του Bloco, τον καθηγητή οικονομικών και συγγραφέα βιβλίων πάνω στην πορεία της οικονομικής σκέψης, Φρανσίσκο Λουόσα, ο οποίος ενημερώθηκε και για τη σύσταση επιτροπών οι οποίες σχετίζονται με το ελληνικό χρέος.
It was a very interesting discussion on the current and very urgent matters of the economy, but also on European policy with respect to Greece. I had the chance to inform Professor Louca on the recent initiatives of the Greek Parliament, the Hellenic Parliament, on the Debt Truth Committee, which is going to decodify the Greek debt and see which part of it is illegitimate, illegal, unsustainable and odious. I asked for his support in this procedure, which is very important not only for the Greek people, but also for the Portuguese people and the European people in general. Portugal has big public debt as well. The people of Portugal do have an interest in following this discussion and this procedure very, very closely, because we have a very good reason to believe that decodifying and auditing the Greek debt will reveal aspects of the creation and the blowing out of proportion of the debt in Europe in general. I had also the chance to invite Professor Louca to Greece for the weeks to come in order for the Greek citizens to have the chance to appreciate his take and his thesis on the matters of debt.
Let me say it's a pleasure to listen to the President of the Parliament. Of course, you know that Greece is the capital of Europe nowadays. So if there is a fight against austerity with a social authority of democracy, that's what's happening in Greece. So Greece is helping Europe to look to the core elements of democracy, responsibility, contract, and clarifying the financial pressure and blackmail against the countries, against the pensions, against the wages, against employment, against young people, against our common living and respect. It's absolutely essential. So in Portugal there was a very enthusiastic reception for the victory of the new government in Greece, and I believe so. The same happened in Spain or in Italy or in France. And of course we follow very attentively what's happening with all the negotiations and all the dealings with Europe. We feel the difficulty, we feel the pressure, we feel the need for a solution. So well, I got from the President a lot of very useful information and sense of the reality of what's happening in Greece. And of course, the Greek Parliament has an enormous responsibility for deciding on behalf of the Greek people. So I hope that what's happening in the last weeks and in last months can be very rapidly overcome through a concrete solution which respects the right of the Greek people to decide on investment, on the public goods, on the sustainability of its own country. And I guess that's a very good lesson for Europe. We need that solution, and Europe needs it. Otherwise, it will be the dictatorship of debt, the dictatorship of the financial markets, meaning that a very small part of the society will get it all and will explore the older people and the younger people, men and women who work and make all their lives for their countries, and they will not have the respect of the common good democratic means we should have. The memoranda of the Troika, which were almost all the same writing in Greece and in Portugal, it's almost the same wording and the same social and economic orientation. So it was to decrease the GDP. Well, one of my colleagues gives an example which is a wonderful, simple one. Imagine a country which has a huge debt, 100, and a GDP of 100. So the debt is 100%. But and someone comes and proposes to solve the problem of the very big weight of debt, reducing the GDP. And the GDP through austerity and recession goes to 50. So it's half of what it was. And now the ratio, the weight of the debt on GDP becomes the double, 200%. Only the idiot of the village would propose such a solution. And the idiot of the village is the Troika, and is the ECB, and it's the European Commission, the IMF. That's what they've been doing to Europe and to Greece and to Portugal with different levels. But we have all been losing a lot because the countries are poorer, they have much more unemployment, and if an economy is something, it's a part of the society. So it should be measured not by the financial rents, not by the financial benefits, not by the financial extortion, but by employed people. People having the means to live with dignity their lives and to feed their children and to respect the elder. And that's what is being lost in Europe. That's why the debt investigation in Greece, the first one in Europe, it's so important. It's so important to have the concrete details, the technical authority of this sort of investigation, and to have as well the example of what a state concerned about the citizens can do, should do, and is doing in the case of Greece.
The responsibility is always an inspiration, not a burden. And this is how it should be for politicians and for people who undertake to guarantee a better world and a better life for their co-citizens. I would say it's very interesting to see that there have been investigations committees for relevant issues in several parliaments. There have been initiatives, not debt auditing initiatives, but initiatives towards transparency and accountability and serving the right of the people to truth are there. And I also guess it's easier for parliamentarians and for parliaments to better serve the people than for the executive branch. At this point, I believe that this is a responsibility which falls upon parliaments. It's a responsibility to support what has been the founding goal of the European Union, the prosperity of its people and of its societies, to support also the right of all people to live with dignity within the European Union. There is a very, very strong impression that there exist political powers in Europe who would like to see the isolation of one or more European societies. These political powers are acting in a grossly anti-European manner. And this should be said loud and clear, and parliaments in Europe are those entitled to say this. I think the process will be completed and any obstacles will be overcome. There are no obstacles that can't be overcome when you're willing, and we are.
No, well, I have no advice. I feel it's a very good initiative. There were some cases of audit at an international level, but nothing comparable to the burden, to the effort, to what's being done in Greece, because this is the core of the European management which is being discussed. And it's very important to understand how the financial markets work. We all can learn very important lessons from what will happen from the research and the fact-finding in Greece. And all the implications it has is to respond to the essential question of democracy, the power for the people and the decision for the people and that transparency, so that people can learn and know which are exactly the difficulties we have. Nobody is saying that it will be easy easy to come out of the European crisis or the Greek crisis or the Portuguese crisis. But knowing exactly the constraints and exactly the problems, exactly the responsibilities, exactly who created, how they were created, it's very important in order to solve the problem. So that's an immense step towards truth and towards respect for the people. So I believe that democracy is again living in Athens through this work.